Hi there, yoga friends. I'm Jen. Today's class is the first in a restorative yoga sequence called Awakening Gentle Awareness. Today we will explore supported child's, pigeon, and shoulder stand. As well, we're going to cultivate our breath awareness to create a deeper sense of joy, peace, and acceptance within. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Let's get started. For today's practice, you're going to need a couple of props. A blanket, which I'm already sitting on, a bolster, and I've got 2 blocks here hiding. Now the first posture that we're going to get into is just simple breathing. So with yogic breathing, the breath always starts at the abdominal center. We allow the belly to puff out, and then we inflate through the side of our rib cage, and we should feel them coming out to the sides. And then bringing the breath not only to the front of the chest, but also in the back, in between the shoulder blades. So to get started, we'll take our hands either side of the mat here and gently close the eyes. Take a moment here to settle into your seat. And if you want, you can sit onto a blanket like I am. And as you sit here, we just sort of start to lengthen through the spine. We start to take deeper and smoother breaths, again originating here at the abdominal center. And as you exhale, exhale from the top of the chest and taking those side ribs back in towards each other and gently drawing your navel back towards your spine. The breath here that we're cultivating, we're looking for an even flow of breath through the inhale and the exhale. And on our next inhalation, we're going to turn our palms up towards the ceiling and start to raise our hands high, reaching up towards the sky. And at the top of your breath, turn the palms away and bring your palms back down towards the floor, just the fingertips touch. Inhale and raise the hands. Now we're going to do this in our own time, so you don't need to necessarily move your arms at the same speed that I am. What I'd like for you to do is have a sense of evenness on the inhale and the exhale, taking the hands wide, lengthening through the spine on the inhalation, reaching up to the fingertips, and as you exhale, turning the palms away, maintaining that tall spine. And by the time your fingertips touch the earth, you're at the bottom of your exhalation. Let's go ahead and take 3 more breath cycles like that, following your own smooth rhythm of breath. And we just do that as not to stress the nervous system. So sometimes when you count your breath at rhythms that are a bit too fast for you, you can stress the nervous system here. So I just encourage you here to come into a nice, even flow, the awareness on the breath. We'll just take 1 more breath cycle wherever you are. Pause for a moment with the fingertips on the earth. Take a gentle awareness into our heart center, Anahata chakra, the space of all love, peace, joy, and compassion. And it is in this space that we're starting to cultivate this sense of self-acceptance and love. And take our hands now just to the knees and gently open our eyes, and we'll move into our second posture, supported child's pose. So for this one, we're going to use the bolster and we're going to come sideways onto our mats. And depending on how fluffy your bolsters are and maybe your knees as well. So if you have any knee issues, you might want to have your bolster a little bit higher. Now you can take your blocks here for supported child's pose, and we're going to put one at the top end and one at the bottom. And we'll take our knees wide here, big toes touching and hips back onto the heels. Again, if this causes you any discomfort in your knees, you can raise the bolster, and then you just want to keep your knees more at a 90-degree angle like this as you fold over. So for me, I'm going to use a blanket as well, just on top of my bolster, because my bolsters are getting a bit saggy. What we'll do is we'll just take the inner thighs to the inside of the bolster here, and take the hands next to the hips. Take a nice deep breath in and lengthen through the spine. And keeping that length of the spine, we're going to lift the hips and lay the body down over the bolster. You want to rest the head down here and place the blanket so that it is comfortable for you. Just move that up to the side. So once you get into these postures, you don't want to have any sense of effort in them. They should be of complete ease and relaxation. You can shuffle around a little bit, adjust the height of your bolster, maybe adjust the blankets a little bit until you find your comfortable space. And then once you're there, we're going to move back into that even flow of breath. In yogic terms, it's called Ujjayi Pranayama, and this just simply means that the inhale and the exhale are of equal cadence and length. So again, just come back into that really smooth breath. And we'll be here for approximately 2 minutes today. This posture is a really nice posture for cultivating that sense of vulnerability, because we have our internal organs all supported here by the bolster. It can feel quite nurturing and very safe as we protect those organs. And it can be very soothing here for the nervous system. So just settling in here, we're going to take another approximately 10 breath cycles. And as you inhale, feel your belly here press into your bolster, and feel the length that your breath gives to your spine as you take that nice deep breath all the way up in between the shoulder blades. And then your calm exhalation as your body just sinks a little bit deeper down onto the bolster. Just going to take another 4 breaths here. If you're really comfy and you want to stay longer, you can hold these restorative postures anywhere from 2 to say 20 minutes. So if you find a posture that's really serving you and it feels really good for your body, all you need to do is pause the video before you move on to the next one. So again, just another breath or 2 here, really inflating through the back of the rib cage, finding the length in between your vertebrae. And we'll gently open our eyes, and to release from this one, we'll lie the hands back in line with the shoulders. We'll press down with the hands, and we're going to move into a tabletop. So it's okay that the bolster is there underneath you. We'll tuck the toes under. You want to have your wrists and shoulders in line, your hips and your knees, and we're just going to move through a couple of cat-cow just to release the spine. So as you inhale, take your gaze forward. Allow your belly to be soft as you arch the spine and draw your shoulders towards your hips. And as you exhale, a gentle rounding through the spine and tuck your chin towards your sternum. We'll take 2 more breaths like that, again following your own smooth breath cycle. Again, that helps to soothe the nervous system, cultivating that sense of moving with the breath, and as well cultivating that sense of equal cadence and rhythm of the breath. From here, friends, let's just come to sit back onto the heels and we'll get ready to set up for the next posture, Pigeon Posture. Now the bolster is going to stay exactly as it is. I'm going to remove the blanket just off to the side, and for this one I'm going to take away the blocks. Now the Pigeon Posture is really good for opening up the hips as well as relieving some strain and stress from the lower back. So we're going to lay down over the bolster again, but this time we're going to come up nice and close, and we're going to take our left foot here so that it's along the side of the bolster, and we're going to straighten the right leg behind us. So it's just the top of the hip crease here that is supported by the bolster, and again we just lay down here. If you have any issues with your knee, you can take the knee a little bit further away and maybe take the heel away as well, just to open up and have a degree angle here that's about 90 degrees. If you don't have any issues with your knees here, maybe take your heel back in. And if you have any issues with your SIJ joint, then what you can do is maybe prop up here with the blanket. And again, folks, just take your time to ease into it and use your blankets, use your blocks as you need to settle in. So as we settle into this posture, we're just going to bring our focus here into the lower back. See if we can soften through the hip joint. Find a sense of lengthening through the right leg that's extended. And we continue with the Ujjayi Pranayama, that really calm breath on the inhale and the exhale. We'll just take another 8 to 10 breaths here, depending on your breath cycle. Again, if you want to stay longer, friends, you can just pause the video. And as we lay here and we cultivate our breath, we also start to notice the mind. The mind likes to become active when we slow down sometimes. So we just start to notice whenever the mind drifts away from the attention of the breath, and without judgment of where the mind goes, we just simply draw it back to the breath without any frustration. Now, particularly if you start to see arising for you any emotions or thoughts that may be difficult for you, we're really not trying to push anything away. What we're trying to do is just acknowledge what comes and know that we are separate from that thought. And we just return to the breath. Let's go ahead and take another 4 really soft breaths here. Remember, if you want to stay longer, you can just by pausing the video. We'll take our hands here underneath the shoulders to support ourselves. We'll tuck the right toes under. Press down with your hands and squish back through the hips. And we'll take the knees here back in line with each other. and the hands, the wrists underneath our shoulders. This time we're going to lengthen out through that left leg. So we're going to draw the navel center back towards the spine and then take the left toe tip behind us. With the left toe tip here, let's press back into the left heel, and we'll start to give a little bit of a stretch here through the back of the left ankle, the Achilles, the calf, and maybe even the hamstring. I would like for you to keep your gaze down towards the floor, your bolster in between your hands. And we'll just go ahead and take another 2 or 3 breaths here. See if you can soften through the muscles of the face, the jaw. And then we'll take that left knee here back in line with the right. And before we move into the second side, let's just squish the hips and the shoulders here in opposite directions. And that's just another way, a nice way to free up the spine. Notice if you have any areas of tension, maybe you can direct the breath there and see if you can release it. Now we'll get ready for the second side. So this time the left leg is going to go long, and we're going to take the right toe tip to the base of the bolster and take the right knee up along the side. We'll straighten the left leg behind us and then lay down. Now if you made adjustments on the first side to take the knee wider, or if you propped up underneath your hip with a block or a blanket to support your back, then please do that here. Again, just settle in and notice whether or not you've got your shoulders up around your ears. And if you do, see if you can gently draw your shoulder blades down your back, making a little bit more length for your neck, for your ears. Not that your ears need a lot of length there, but I guess it's just that cue to draw the shoulders away from the ears. And I'll get you to turn your head here in the opposite direction. So generally we're looking towards the knee that is bent, or whatever your second side is. And we'll take another 8 to 10 breath cycles here. Again, softening through that back line of your body with every exhalation. And with every inhalation, a sense of lifting, lengthening, and even feeling the space in between the vertebrae here as the belly presses against your bolster. Take another 4 breaths here, maintaining the focus on the breath, observing and witnessing whatever arises, either in the physical body or the emotional, mental body. Directing the breath into that area, seeing if you can release any tension. Remember, friends, if you want to stay here a little bit longer, just simply pause the video, come back to it when you're ready. To release, we'll take our hands back underneath the shoulders, just press down gently, tuck the left toes under, and we'll squish back through the hips. Again, we're going to line up the wrists and the shoulders here, the knees and the ankles. And with the navel gently drawn back to your spine, take your right toe tip behind you, and we'll just gently press back into that right heel. Feels really nice. I feel a bit tight here through the right side of my leg, a little bit tighter there than from the left. And you also may notice that you're tighter on one side than the other, and that's typically very normal. So just take another couple of breaths here, enjoying that stretch and release. We'll return the right knee here to the left. And again, we'll just take the hips and the shoulders in opposite directions And if you want to take it a little bit deeper this time, we take our gaze to the opposite toe tip. So opposite in direction of the hips. And again, this is just really nice to free up the spine. And then we'll come back to center, and let's set up for our third posture for today, which is the supported shoulder stand. So you're going to need to use your bolster for this one, and we're going to take it so that it is running horizontally on your mat. And climb over the top. You want to squish it behind you, and this is going to support underneath your hips. Now if you want, you can use a blanket behind you just to support the shoulders a little bit, not to lift the neck at all. So you notice that it's not very high here, but it just sort of has a sense of warmth, particularly here. It's winter time, it feels nice behind you. So we'll have the bolster here. Take your hands to the top of the bolster, soles of the feet on the floor, and we'll just use our hands to push down and lay the hips onto the bolster and then ease back. So I want the shoulders here to make contact with the floor. And then you'll adjust the bolster. So take your heels underneath your knees, and I'm just going to squish it down a little bit so it's right underneath that hip girdle. Now if you have lower back pain, this one can feel really, really lovely. So we'll just rest here for a couple of breaths. This is the first option of this posture. And there's 3 different levels to this posture, so we're just going to ease into them. We'll take 4 or 5 breaths in each of the different sequences, and again, if you want to hold one of these longer than another, you can, and remember you can always pause the video and hold something a little bit longer. So if you're happy here and you feel like very at ease and comfortable within your body, then I would just invite you to stay here and stay with your calm breath and just see if you can cultivate that awareness with the breath, and with whatever arises, just staying with that peace, and maybe even sending it a little bit of love. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, what you can do here is draw the knees in towards your chest, and you may want to stay here or just gently raising the feet up towards the ceiling. Now your hands can come either side of the bolster or maybe on top. It doesn't matter. Some people even like taking the hands behind. So you have a couple of options here to feel where you're most comfortable. And what I really love about this posture is the sense of the lightness that comes through the legs. So even though my legs are lifted up towards the ceiling, it's almost like my legs are floating out of my hip joint. There's no effort in the legs whatsoever. So you may need to play a little bit by taking the legs forward and back, noticing where your abdominal muscles switch on and where they switch off. And again, just taking it to that place where it feels of ease. Take 4 breaths here. Now again, friends, if this one is the one that's serving you, stay here longer. If you do want to go a little bit deeper, we're going to take the feet past the head. But we're also going to move the bolster up the back. And in order to do that, I'm going to hug the knees into my chest, lift up slightly, shuffle that bolster just underneath the thoracic spine. So that's the middle part of your back. And I'm going to rest it back down there. So now there's still no effort through the legs. The bolster is just a little bit higher, and what this does is it puts a little bit of extra compression into the front of the neck. So there should be no pain, there should be no sensation of restriction through your neck, front or back, but it will put a little extra compression here in the front of your throat, which is really good for stimulating the thyroid gland. It's good for hormonal balance. And again, we can choose to stay here, or if you preferred one of those earlier variations of this posture, I just invite you to go back there and settle in. We're going to go ahead, and in this one we're going to take 10 more breaths, allowing your mind just to settle there on the breath. And it's really just as simple as that. Retraining the mind to return home to the breath. And as we do that, we really do arrive here in this present moment. And if we have that willingness to create a sense of joy and peace for whatever arises, that non-judgment for whatever comes, we start to cultivate that self-acceptance that can really help us in any moment of our life. You may notice that you're able to settle a little bit more deeply into the posture here as the time goes on. And again, if you choose to, you can always pause the video and remain in the posture just a little bit longer. We'll just take another couple of breaths here. And if you don't already have your feet on the floor, I'll just get you to take your knees into your chest. Take the feet to the floor one at a time. And then we'll press down through the soles of the feet. Draw the navel to the spine, lift the hips, and then just press that bolster down and away from you. You can use your feet here to help glide it down so that it comes underneath your knees. And this is supported Shavasana. We'll take our final rest here today. And now this is where the blanket's going to come in handy if you want to raise the head in any way. So you can roll up the edge of your blanket and rest the head down. So you want to have your chin here just in line with your sternum. Soften the jaw, so just gently part the teeth. Maybe wobble the jaw from side to side. Bring the jaw into stillness. And if it feels good for you, just gently turn your head from right to left, releasing tension. Letting go, no rushing, just moving slowly. And then we'll bring it back into center, and with the eyes closed here, just gently scan through the body, see if there's anywhere else where you may be holding tension. And just with the attention of your breath and the intention of your breath, you can direct it to that area and just start to softly release anything that's there. Come back into that really calm, smooth breath. friends, feel welcome to rest here in Shavasana for as long as you feel comfortable. Otherwise, we're just going to start to wiggle the fingers and the toes, start to bring a gentle movement back into the body. Take the hands past the head, stretch the legs and the arms in opposite directions. Take the soles of the feet here to the top of the bolster and roll over to your right or your left. Pause momentarily in the cuddle. And then slowly making your way back to a seat. There we go. Thank you for joining, friends. If you've enjoyed today's video, please make sure to subscribe and click the bell so that you can catch part 2 of today's series, Awakening Gentle Awareness through Restorative Yoga. Again, thanks for sharing your journey with me. Namaste.